Question 1. Discuss the role of social class and its impact on the relationships in Pride and Prejudice. Answer. In Pride and Prejudice, social class plays a significant role in shaping characters' relationships and social interactions. The novel portrays the rigid class structure of early 19th century England, where social mobility is limited and individuals' behaviors and opportunities are heavily influenced by their class status. The relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy is a prime example. Darcy's initial proposal to Elizabeth is tainted by his condescending attitude towards her lower social standing, leading to her rejection. However, as the story progresses, Darcy's character develops, and he learns to respect Elizabeth's intelligence and virtue, irrespective of her social rank. Elizabeth, too, overcomes her prejudice against Darcy's wealth and status, recognizing his true character. The union of Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley illustrates another aspect of social class. Despite Bingley's genuine affection for Jane, his sisters and Darcy initially interfere due to Jane's lower social standing. Their objections reflect the importance placed on class and wealth in marriage decisions. Additionally, the novel highlights the constraints placed on women by their social class, as seen through Charlotte Lucas's pragmatic marriage to Mr. Collins. Charlotte's acceptance of Mr. Collins is influenced by her lack of fortune and prospects, showing how social class dictates the choices available to women. Overall, Austen critiques the social hierarchy, advocating for marriages based on mutual respect and love rather than class considerations. The resolution of the novel, with Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage, suggests the possibility of transcending social barriers through personal integrity and growth. Question 2. Analyze the character development of Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. Answer. Elizabeth Bennet, the protagonist of Pride and Prejudice, undergoes significant character development throughout the novel. At the beginning, Elizabeth is portrayed as witty, intelligent, and independent, but also somewhat prejudiced and quick to judge. One of the pivotal moments in her development is her rejection of Mr. Darcy's first marriage proposal. Her initial judgment of Darcy is based on his apparent pride and the misleading information provided by Mr. Wickham. However, Darcy's explanatory letter after her rejection forces Elizabeth to confront her own prejudices and misjudgments. Elizabeth's visit to Pemberley marks another turning point. Seeing Darcy's estate and interacting with his housekeeper, who praises Darcy's character, helps Elizabeth reassess her opinions. She begins to see Darcy in a new light, appreciating his true nature and the reasons behind his actions. Her growth is further evident when she supports her sister Lydia during her scandal with Wickham, showing maturity and responsibility. Elizabeth's ability to admit her mistakes and her evolving understanding of Darcy's character highlight her intellectual and emotional development. By the end of the novel, Elizabeth's transformation is complete. She marries Darcy, recognizing him as her equal in intellect and morality. Her journey from prejudice to understanding, and from quick judgments to deeper insights, encapsulates her character. Growth and underscores Austen's themes of personal growth and self-awareness. Question 3. Examine the use of irony in Pride and Prejudice and its effect on the narrative. Answer. Irony is a central literary device in Pride and Prejudice, used by Jane Austen to critique societal norms and character flaws humorously and insightfully. The opening line of the novel is one of the most famous examples. It is a truth universally acknowledged, that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. This statement is ironic because it reflects society's obsession with wealth and marriage, rather than an actual truth. Throughout the novel, this irony sets the tone for the various romantic entanglements and social expectations. Mr. Collins' character is another source of irony. His obsequiousness and self-importance, coupled with his absurd proposals to Elizabeth and later to Charlotte Lucas, highlight the absurdity of marrying for convenience and social advantage rather than love. His obsequious letters to Lady Catherine de Bourgh and his boastful manner further enhance the comic aspect of his character. Elizabeth Bennet's sharp wit and verbal irony are also crucial. Her banter with Darcy, particularly during their early encounters, not only serves as entertainment but also reveals deeper truths about their characters and societal norms. Her ironic remarks often expose the superficiality and pretensions of those around her. Irony in Pride and Prejudice enhances the narrative by providing social commentary and deepening character exploration. It allows Austen to address serious themes like marriage, class, and morality with a light touch, making the novel both engaging and thought-provoking. Question 4. How does Jane Austen portray the theme of marriage in Pride and Prejudice? Answer. Marriage is a central theme in Pride and Prejudice, and Jane Austen portrays it from various angles, examining its different motivations and outcomes. Austen depicts several marriages in the novel, each serving as a commentary on the different aspects of marriage and its implications. The marriage of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet is shown as a cautionary example of what can go wrong when marriages are based on superficial attractions rather than compatibility and respect. Their mismatched union results in a lack of mutual understanding and poor parental guidance. In contrast, the marriage of Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Collins illustrates the pragmatic approach to marriage. Charlotte, lacking romantic notions and financial security, marries Mr. Collins for stability, highlighting the limited options available to women and the societal pressures to marry for economic reasons rather than love. The relationship between Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley represents a more idealistic view of marriage, based on genuine affection and mutual respect. However, their relationship faces obstacles due to social class considerations and external manipulations, underscoring the influence of societal norms on personal relationships. Finally, Elizabeth and Darcy's relationship epitomizes the novel's ideal marriage, based on mutual respect, understanding, and love. Their journey from misunderstanding and prejudice to deep affection and respect illustrates Austen's belief that successful marriages require personal growth and the overcoming of societal prejudices. Austen uses these varying portrayals to critique the institution of marriage in her time, advocating for marriages based on genuine connection and mutual respect rather than social convenience or economic necessity. Question 5. Evaluate the significance of the setting in Pride and Prejudice. Answer. The setting in Pride and Prejudice plays a significant role in shaping the novel's themes and character dynamics. The various locations in the novel, from the rural villages to grand estates, serve as backdrops that reflect the social status and personality of the characters. Longbourn, the Bennet family home, symbolizes the modest means and social aspirations of the Bennet family. It is a place of domestic activity and familial bonds but also reflects the financial insecurity that plagues the family due to the lack of a male heir. Netherfield Park, rented by Mr. Bingley, represents the allure of wealth and the social mobility it can bring. Bingley's easy acceptance into the local society contrasts with Darcy's initial aloofness, highlighting differing attitudes towards wealth and class. Pemberley, Mr. Darcy's estate, is perhaps the most significant setting. It symbolizes not just Darcy's wealth and social standing but also his true character. Elizabeth's visit to Pemberley marks a turning point in her perception of Darcy. The estate's beauty and harmony reflect Darcy's refined taste and moral integrity, which Elizabeth comes to appreciate. Rosings Park, Lady Catherine de Bourgh's estate, epitomizes aristocratic arrogance and the oppressive nature of rigid class distinctions. Lady Catherine's grand but overbearing home reflects her domineering personality and sense of superiority. Merryton, the nearby town, serves as a social hub for the Bennet sisters and a place where significant plot developments occur, such as the introduction of the militia and the unfolding of Lydia's elopement with Wickham. Overall, the settings in Pride and Prejudice are integral to the narrative, providing not just physical backdrops but also enhancing the themes of social class, personal growth, and the true nature of the characters. Question 6. Critically examine the role of Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice and how he contributes to the novel's critique of social hierarchy and marriage. Answer. Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice is a satirical portrayal of the social hierarchy and the institution of marriage. His character is a clergyman and the heir to the Bennet family estate, embodying both social climbing and sycophancy. Critically, Mr. Collins serves as a vehicle for Austen's critique of social hierarchies. His obsequious behavior towards his patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, highlights the sycophantic nature required to maintain favor in a rigid class system. His exaggerated reverence for Lady Catherine and his insistence on her opinions as gospel illustrate the absurdity of blind obedience to social superiors. Mr. Collins' proposals to Elizabeth Bennet and later to Charlotte Lucas underscore the transactional nature of many marriages during Austen's time. His initial proposal to Elizabeth is more a business transaction than a romantic gesture, as he lists practical reasons for marriage rather than personal affection. This reflects the societal pressure on women to marry for financial security and social standing rather than love. Charlotte Lucas's acceptance of Mr. Collins' proposal further critiques the limited options available to women. Charlotte's pragmatic decision, while ensuring her financial stability, also highlights the sacrifices women had to make, often at the cost of personal happiness. Mr. Colin's character and his interactions with other characters serve as a satire of the societal norms that prioritize social status and material wealth over genuine human connections. His presence in the novel illuminates the absurdities and limitations of the social hierarchy and the institution of marriage, reinforcing Austen's critique of these societal structures. Question 7. Analyze the theme of pride in Pride and Prejudice with particular focus on the character arcs of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Answer. The theme of pride is central to Pride and Prejudice, particularly in the character arcs of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Both characters' initial pride serves as a barrier to their understanding and acceptance of each other, and their eventual growth is marked by the tempering of this pride. Mr. Darcy's pride is immediately evident. His initial arrogance and sense of superiority are clear in his dismissal of Elizabeth as tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me. His pride is rooted in his high social standing and wealth, which blinds him to Elizabeth's virtues and the merits of those outside his social class. Darcy's proposal to Elizabeth, where he admits his love but simultaneously insults her family and social position, exemplifies his untempered pride. Elizabeth's pride, on the other hand, manifests as a prejudice against Darcy. Her initial misjudgment of Darcy is influenced by her wounded pride after his slight and her inclination to trust Wickham's deceitful account of Darcy. Elizabeth's pride in her own judgment leads her to dismiss Darcy's true character and motivations. As the novel progresses, both characters undergo significant development. Darcy's character is gradually revealed to be honorable and kind, particularly in his efforts to save Elizabeth's family from scandal through his intervention in Lydia's elopement. This transformation is crucial in Elizabeth's reassessment of him. Darcy's willingness to change and humble himself in his second proposal to Elizabeth marks his growth from pride to humility. Elizabeth's growth involves recognizing her own faults and prejudices. Darcy's letter after the failed proposal serves as a turning point, prompting Elizabeth to reflect on her own pride and misjudgments. Her eventual acceptance of Darcy comes from a place of understanding and respect rather than prejudice. The resolution of their relationship, culminating in a marriage based on mutual respect and love, highlights Austen's message about the dangers of excessive pride and the importance of self-awareness and personal growth. The transformation of both Elizabeth and Darcy underscores the novel's critique of pride as a barrier to true understanding and connection. Question 8. Discuss the significance of secondary characters in Pride and Prejudice and how they enhance the novel's primary themes. Answer. Secondary characters in Pride and Prejudice play crucial roles in enhancing the novel's primary themes of social class, marriage, and personal growth. These characters provide contrast and context for the development of the main characters and themes. Charlotte Lucas serves as a foil to Elizabeth Bennet, particularly in their differing views on marriage. Charlotte's pragmatic decision to marry Mr. Collins highlights the economic and social pressures faced by women, contrasting with Elizabeth's desire for a marriage based on love and respect. Charlotte's situation underscores the novel's critique of marriage as a social contract rather than a romantic union. Mr. Wickham is another significant secondary character. His charming demeanor and deceitful actions expose the dangers of first impressions and superficial judgments. Wickham's behavior also serves to highlight Darcy's true character, as his dishonesty and irresponsibility are starkly contrasted with Darcy's integrity and sense of duty. This contrast aids Elizabeth's eventual realization of Darcy's worth and her own misjudgments. Lady Catherine de Bourgh epitomizes the theme of social class and its oppressive nature. Her arrogant and domineering behavior towards those she considers beneath her, including her attempts to control Darcy's and Elizabeth's lives, exemplifies the rigid class structures Austen critiques. Lady Catherine's eventual confrontation with Elizabeth serves as a climactic moment where Elizabeth's independence and defiance of social hierarchy are fully asserted. The Bennet family, particularly Mrs. Bennet and Lydia, provide both comic relief and social commentary. Mrs. Bennet's obsession with marrying off her daughters, regardless of suitability, and Lydia's reckless behavior reflect the societal pressures on women and the potential consequences of a lack of proper guidance and education. Their actions contrast with Elizabeth's more discerning and principled approach to life and marriage. Overall, the secondary characters in Pride and Prejudice are essential in illustrating and reinforcing the novel's exploration of social norms, class distinctions, and the complexities of human relationships. They provide a broader social context that enriches the main narrative and deepens the reader's understanding of Austen's critiques and themes. Question 9. Evaluate the significance of Mr. Bennet's role as a father and his impact on the lives of his daughters in Pride and Prejudice. Answer. Mr. Bennet's role as a father in Pride and Prejudice is significant and complex, reflecting both his shortcomings and his impact on his daughters' lives. His character serves as a critique of parental responsibility and its influence on the younger generation. Mr. Bennet is portrayed as intelligent and witty but also indolent and detached. His cynical humor and frequent withdrawal into his library indicate his desire to escape the realities of his household, particularly his overbearing wife and the marital pressures on his daughters. This detachment significantly affects his daughters, who lack strong paternal guidance. One of Mr. Bennet's primary failures is his inability to control or properly discipline his youngest daughter, Lydia. His dismissive attitude towards Lydia's flirtatious behavior and disregard for her moral education lead to her elopement with Wickham, causing a major scandal. Mr. Bennet's lack of foresight and responsibility in this matter highlights the consequences of parental neglect. Despite his flaws, Mr. Bennet does show moments of concern and affection, particularly towards Elizabeth. He values Elizabeth's intelligence and judgment, supporting her decision to reject Mr. Collins and later recognizing the suitability of her match with Mr. Darcy. His protective nature is evident when he advises Elizabeth against marrying for convenience, reflecting his awareness of the importance of marrying for love. Mr. Bennet's relationship with his wife also impacts their daughters. His sarcastic demeanor towards Mrs. Bennet and his lack of respect for her opinions contribute to the household's chaotic dynamic. This dynamic provides Elizabeth with a critical view of marriage, influencing her determination to marry for love and respect rather than convenience. In essence, Mr. Bennet's role as a father is a blend of wit and wisdom marred by negligence and irresponsibility. His character serves as a cautionary example of the importance of active and responsible parenting. While he recognizes and supports Elizabeth's virtues, his overall lack of engagement and discipline contributes to the challenges faced by his family, underscoring Austen's critique of parental roles and responsibilities. Question 10. Critically assess the portrayal of female agency in Pride and Prejudice, focusing on Elizabeth Bennet and her interactions with other characters. Answer. The portrayal of female agency in Pride and Prejudice is a central theme, with Elizabeth Bennet embodying the novel's progressive stance on women's autonomy and self-determination. Elizabeth's character challenges the traditional gender roles and expectations of her time, asserting her independence and agency in various interactions. Elizabeth's refusal of Mr. Collins' proposal is a significant assertion of her agency. Despite the financial security that the marriage would provide, Elizabeth prioritizes her personal happiness and principles over societal expectations. This decision highlights her independence and unwillingness to conform to the pressure of securing a socially advantageous marriage. Her interactions with Mr. Darcy further emphasize her agency. Elizabeth's initial rejection of Darcy's proposal, despite his wealth and status, is a powerful statement of her self-respect and desire for equality in marriage. Her refusal is based on her perception of his character and his treatment of her and her family, rather than on societal expectations or material gain. Elizabeth's critical and discerning nature is evident in her interactions with other characters, such as Lady Catherine de Bourgh. When Lady Catherine attempts to intimidate Elizabeth into renouncing Darcy, Elizabeth firmly stands her ground, asserting her right to make her own decisions. This confrontation underscores Elizabeth's strength and independence, challenging the hierarchical and patriarchal norms represented by Lady Catherine. The contrast between Elizabeth and other female characters, such as Charlotte Lucas and Lydia Bennet, further highlights the theme of female agency. Charlotte's pragmatic acceptance of Mr. Collins reflects the limited options available to women, while Lydia's impulsive elopement with Wickham demonstrates the consequences of a lack of agency and proper guidance. Elizabeth's choices stand in stark contrast, emphasizing her autonomy and the importance of self-respect and personal values. Overall, Elizabeth Bennet's portrayal in Pride and Prejudice is a critique of the restricted roles available to women and a celebration of female agency. Through Elizabeth's actions and decisions, Austen advocates for the right of women to choose their own paths, prioritize their happiness, and challenge societal norms. Elizabeth's character serves as a model of empowerment, highlighting the novel's progressive stance on gender equality and personal autonomy. Question 1. Examine the role of irony in Pride and Prejudice and how Jane Austen uses it to critique societal norms. Answer. Irony is a fundamental literary device in Pride and Prejudice, used extensively by Jane Austen to critique societal norms and character behaviors. The novel's opening line, "It is a truth universally acknowledged, that a single man in possession of a good fortune, must be in want of a wife," is a prime example of irony. This statement sets the tone for the novel, humorously critiquing the societal obsession with marriage and wealth. Austen's use of irony is evident in her characterizations and plot developments. For instance, Mr. Bennet's sarcastic remarks often highlight the folly of other characters. His ironic commentary on Mrs. Bennet's relentless pursuit of suitors for their daughters underscores the absurdity of such single-mindedness. His wit serves to expose the shallow concerns of social climbing in the marriage market. Elizabeth Bennet's interactions with Mr. Darcy are also rich with irony. Her initial prejudice against Darcy, combined with his pride, creates a series of misunderstandings. Elizabeth's rejection of Darcy's first proposal is laden with ironic tension, as she reproaches him for his arrogance while being unaware of the true reasons behind his actions and his genuine feelings for her. This irony serves to critique the dangers of first impressions and snap judgments. Furthermore, the character of Mr. Collins is an embodiment of ironic satire. His obsequiousness towards Lady Catherine de Bourgh and his absurdly pompous behavior highlight the sycophantic nature of those who seek to advance through flattery and subservience. Austen uses Mr. Collins to mock the class system and the misplaced reverence for social superiors. Irony is also present in the eventual outcomes of the characters. Lydia's elopement with Wickham, initially a source of scandal, ironically results in a marriage that is tolerated, if not accepted, due to Darcy's intervention. This turn of events critiques the moral double standards and the weight of social reputation. In conclusion, Jane Austen's use of irony in Pride and Prejudice is a powerful tool to expose the absurdities and contradictions of societal norms. Through witty dialogue, character development, and plot twists, Austen critiques the superficial values of her society, particularly concerning marriage, class, and social mobility. Question 2. Analyze the development of Elizabeth Bennet's character throughout the novel and how her growth is portrayed through her relationships with other characters. Answer. Elizabeth Bennet's character development is central to Pride and Prejudice, showcasing her journey from prejudice to self-awareness and personal growth. Her interactions with various characters play a crucial role in this transformation. At the novel's outset, Elizabeth is witty, intelligent, and confident in her judgments. Her initial interactions with Mr. Darcy are marked by mutual misunderstandings and her prejudice against him, fueled by his apparent arrogance and the deceptive charm of Mr. Wickham. Elizabeth's sharpness is evident when she refuses Mr. Collins' proposal, asserting her desire for a marriage based on love and respect rather than convenience. Elizabeth's visit to Rosings and her interactions with Lady Catherine de Bourgh further test her character. Lady Catherine's condescension and attempts to belittle Elizabeth only strengthen her resolve and independence. Elizabeth's refusal to be intimidated by Lady Catherine highlights her strength and assertiveness. The pivotal moment in Elizabeth's character development occurs with Mr. Darcy's letter following his first proposal. The letter forces Elizabeth to confront her own misjudgments and prejudices. Her reflection on Darcy's words leads to a significant shift in her perspective, recognizing her error in trusting Wickham and misjudging Darcy. This self-awareness marks the beginning of her emotional and intellectual growth. Elizabeth's visit to Pemberley and her interactions with Darcy in his own home further illustrate her transformation. Witnessing Darcy's genuine kindness and humility, particularly in his treatment of his servants and his sister, Georgiana, allows Elizabeth to see him in a new light. Her growing admiration for Darcy's true character signifies her shedding of earlier prejudices. The resolution of the Lydia Wickham scandal and Darcy's instrumental role in it solidify Elizabeth's changed view of him. Darcy's actions reveal his deep love and sense of responsibility, prompting Elizabeth to fully reassess her feelings and acknowledge her growing affection and respect for him. Elizabeth's final interactions with Lady Catherine, where she firmly stands her ground against the older woman's attempts to control her, exemplify her full development into a strong, independent woman who values her own judgment and feelings above societal expectations. In conclusion, Elizabeth Bennet's character development is portrayed through her evolving relationships with other characters. Her journey from prejudice to self-awareness and maturity is marked by her willingness to confront her own faults, reassess her judgments, and ultimately embrace a deeper understanding of herself and those around her. Question 3. Discuss the significance of social class and mobility in Pride and Prejudice and how Austen portrays these themes through the characters and plot. Answer. Social class and mobility are significant themes in Pride and Prejudice, intricately woven into the characters' lives and the plot. Jane Austen uses these themes to critique the rigid class structures of her time and explore the possibilities and limitations of social mobility. The character of Mr. Darcy epitomizes the upper class, with his immense wealth and high social standing. His initial pride and aloofness are partly due to his awareness of his social status. However, his interactions with Elizabeth Bennet, who belongs to a lower social class, challenge his perceptions and prejudices. Darcy's eventual willingness to marry Elizabeth signifies a break from strict class boundaries, highlighting the potential for personal growth and change. Elizabeth Bennet, as the daughter of a gentleman but without a significant dowry, occupies a middle position in the social hierarchy. Her intelligence and wit often place her at odds with societal expectations. Elizabeth's refusal of Mr. Collins' proposal is a bold assertion of her values over social climbing, emphasizing her desire for genuine connection rather than social advancement. The Bingleys represent the nouveau riche, with Charles Bingley's wealth coming from trade. Despite his wealth, Bingley's lack of aristocratic lineage makes him socially vulnerable, as seen in Caroline Bingley's constant attempts to align herself with the aristocracy by pursuing Mr. Darcy. Bingley's relationship with Jane Bennet, and the initial obstacles they face due to her lower social status, underscore the tensions between old and new money. Lady Catherine de Bourgh embodies the entrenched aristocracy, fiercely protective of social hierarchies and resistant to any challenge to the established order. Her condescending attitude towards Elizabeth and her attempt to dictate Darcy's marriage highlight the rigidity and exclusivity of the upper class. The elopement of Lydia Bennet with Wickham, a character of dubious morality and lower social standing, brings to light the consequences of disregarding social norms. This scandal threatens the Bennet family's reputation, illustrating the fragility of social standing and the impact of individual actions on family honor. Charlotte Lucas's marriage to Mr. Collins represents a pragmatic approach to social mobility. Charlotte's acceptance of a marriage devoid of romantic affection in favor of financial security reflects the limited options available to women and the societal pressures to secure a stable future. In conclusion, Jane Austen's portrayal of social class and mobility in Pride and Prejudice critiques the rigid class structures and explores the complexities of navigating social hierarchies. Through the characters' interactions and decisions, Austen highlights the limitations and possibilities of social mobility, emphasizing the importance of personal integrity and the potential for change within the constraints of society. Question 4. Evaluate the role of marriage in Pride and Prejudice and how Austen uses different marriages to explore various societal norms and individual desires. Answer. Marriage is a central theme in Pride and Prejudice, serving as a lens through which Jane Austen explores societal norms, individual desires, and the complexities of human relationships. The various marriages depicted in the novel reflect different aspects of society and personal motivations. The marriage of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet is a cautionary example of a mismatched union. Mr. Bennet's initial attraction to Mrs. Bennet's youthful beauty quickly fades, leading to a marriage characterized by mutual irritation and lack of respect. This dysfunctional relationship underscores the consequences of marrying for superficial reasons and the importance of compatibility and mutual respect. Charlotte Lucas's marriage to Mr. Collins represents a pragmatic approach to the institution of marriage. Charlotte, facing limited prospects due to her age and lack of fortune, chooses security over romantic affection. Her decision highlights the societal pressures on women to secure financial stability through marriage, often at the expense of personal happiness. Lydia Bennet's impulsive elopement with Wickham illustrates the dangers of youthful recklessness and the societal emphasis on reputation. Their eventual marriage, arranged by Darcy to save the Bennet family's honor, underscores the importance placed on social propriety and the lengths to which individuals will go to maintain it. The marriage of Jane Bennet and Charles Bingley represents a union based on genuine affection and mutual admiration. Despite the initial obstacles posed by societal expectations and family interference, their relationship ultimately triumphs. Their marriage reflects Austen's ideal of marrying for love and compatibility, aligning with the values she promotes through the novel. The central relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy epitomizes the novel's exploration of marriage as a partnership of equals. Their initial misunderstandings and personal growth highlight the importance of self-awareness and mutual respect. Elizabeth's refusal to marry for convenience and Darcy's willingness to overcome his pride and prejudices reflect the novel's critique of societal norms and the advocacy for marriages based on genuine connection and personal integrity. In conclusion, Jane Austen uses the various marriages in Pride and Prejudice to explore societal norms and individual desires. Through these relationships, she critiques the institution of marriage, emphasizing the importance of compatibility, mutual respect, and genuine affection. Austen advocates for a more Progressive view of marriage, where personal happiness and equality are prioritized over social conventions and financial considerations. Question 5. Critically assess the theme of pride and its impact on the characters and plot development in Pride and Prejudice. Answer. The theme of pride is intricately woven into the characters and plot of Pride and Prejudice, serving as both a driving force and an obstacle to personal growth and relationships. Jane Austen uses the theme to explore the complexities of human nature and social interactions. Mr. Darcy's pride is one of the most prominent aspects of the novel. His initial haughty demeanor and sense of superiority lead to misunderstandings and prejudice from others, particularly Elizabeth Bennet. Darcy's pride causes him to dismiss those he deems socially inferior, as seen in his initial slighting of Elizabeth at the Meryton Assembly. However, his growing affection for Elizabeth and her rejection of his first proposal force him to confront and reassess his pride. Darcy's character development, culminating in his humble acceptance of his faults and efforts to rectify them, underscores the novel's message about the dangers of excessive pride and the possibility of personal growth. Elizabeth Bennet's pride is more subtle but equally significant. Her pride in her discernment and judgment leads her to form a prejudiced view of Darcy and trust in Wickham's deceitful charm. Elizabeth's journey towards self-awareness, prompted by Darcy's letter and her own reflections, highlights her ability to recognize and overcome her prejudices. Her character arc emphasizes the importance of humility and open-mindedness. Other characters also exemplify the theme of pride in various ways. Lady Catherine de Bourgh's pride in her social status and lineage manifests in her condescending and domineering behavior. Her attempts to control Darcy and intimidate Elizabeth reveal the destructive nature of unchecked pride and the resistance to change. Mr. Collins' pride in his connection to Lady Catherine and his own sense of self-importance lead to his absurdly pompous behavior. His exaggerated pride serves as a satirical critique of social climbing and the reverence for aristocratic patronage. The theme of pride also affects the plot development, particularly in the central relationship between Elizabeth and Darcy. Their mutual overcoming of pride and prejudices is essential for their eventual union. Darcy's transformation and Elizabeth's reassessment of her judgments drive narrative towards its resolution, highlighting the novel's emphasis on personal growth and the triumph of true understanding over superficial judgments. In conclusion, the theme of pride is central to Pride and Prejudice, shaping the characters and plot development. Jane Austen uses pride to explore the complexities of human nature, the importance of humility, and the potential for personal growth. The characters' journeys towards overcoming their pride and prejudices underscore the novel's critique of societal norms and its advocacy for genuine understanding and self-awareness. Question 1. Analyze Pride and Prejudice through the lens of feminist literary criticism. How does Austen challenge or reinforce the gender norms of her time? Answer. From a feminist literary criticism perspective, Pride and Prejudice can be seen as both a critique and reinforcement of the gender norms of its time. Jane Austen challenges traditional gender roles through her portrayal of strong female characters, particularly Elizabeth Bennet, while also depicting the societal constraints faced by women. Elizabeth Bennet is characterized by her intelligence, wit, and assertiveness, traits that were unconventional for women in the early 19th century. Her refusal to marry Mr. Collins, despite societal and familial pressure, demonstrates her desire for personal agency and her rejection of the idea that women must marry for security rather than love. This act of defiance against the expected gender norms highlights Austen's critique of the limited roles available to women. Moreover, Elizabeth's relationship with Mr. Darcy evolves into a partnership based on mutual respect and understanding, rather than traditional patriarchal dominance. Darcy's admiration for Elizabeth's independent spirit and their eventual marriage suggest a progressive view of gender equality. However, Austen also reinforces certain gender norms through other characters and plotlines. Charlotte Lucas's pragmatic decision to marry Mr. Collins reflects the harsh reality that many women faced limited choices and had to prioritize financial security over personal fulfillment. Similarly, the Bennet family's obsession with marrying off their daughters, and Lydia's reckless behavior, underscore the societal emphasis on marriage as a woman's primary goal. Through the contrasting characters and their choices, Austen provides a nuanced exploration of gender norms. She advocates for women's right to personal agency and critiques the societal pressures that confine them, while also acknowledging the realities of the time. In conclusion, Pride and Prejudice through a feminist lens reveals Jane Austen's critique of traditional gender roles and her advocacy for women's independence and equality, while also portraying the societal constraints that women had to navigate. Question 2. Apply Marxist literary criticism to Pride and Prejudice. How does the novel reflect the class struggles and economic realities of its time? Answer. Applying Marxist literary criticism to Pride and Prejudice highlights the class struggles and economic realities of the early 19th century, reflecting the tensions between different social classes and the impact of wealth on relationships and societal status. The novel begins with the iconic statement about the desirability of wealthy single men, immediately setting the stage for a narrative deeply concerned with economic security and social mobility. The Bennet family, with 5 daughters and no male heir, is acutely aware of the economic implications of marriage. Mrs. Bennet's relentless pursuit of wealthy suitors for her daughters underscores the economic necessity driving many of the characters' actions. Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley represent the upper class, with their significant wealth affording them social power and influence. Darcy's initial aloofness and pride can be seen as a reflection of his awareness of his economic superiority. However, his character development, culminating in his willingness to marry Elizabeth despite her lower social standing, challenges the rigid class structures and suggests the possibility of transcending economic barriers through personal merit and love. Elizabeth Bennet's refusal to marry Mr. Collins, despite his offer providing financial security, is a significant act of resistance against the commodification of marriage. Her eventual marriage to Darcy, based on mutual respect rather than economic necessity, can be seen as Austen's critique of the capitalist ideology that reduces human relationships to economic transactions. The character of Mr. Collins, with his obsequiousness towards Lady Catherine de Bourgh, highlights the sycophantic behavior encouraged by the class system. His marriage to Charlotte Lucas, who marries him for economic security, further illustrates the economic realities that dictate personal choices. Lady Catherine de Bourgh embodies the entrenched aristocracy, fiercely protecting her social status and viewing the lower classes with disdain. Her opposition to Darcy's marriage to Elizabeth underscores the class struggles and the resistance to social mobility. In conclusion, Pride and Prejudice, through a Marxist lens, reflects the class struggles and economic realities of its time. Austen critiques the commodification of marriage and the rigid class structures, advocating for personal merit and genuine relationships over economic considerations. Question 3. Explore Pride and Prejudice using psychoanalytic literary criticism. How doth characters' subconscious desires and conflicts shape the narrative? Answer. Using psychoanalytic literary criticism to explore Pride and Prejudice reveals how the characters' subconscious desires and internal conflicts drive their actions and shape the narrative. Elizabeth Bennet's initial prejudice against Mr. Darcy can be interpreted as a defense mechanism to protect herself from the vulnerability of romantic attraction. Her sharp wit and dismissive attitude towards Darcy serve as a barrier against potential emotional pain. Elizabeth's eventual realization of her true feelings for Darcy, prompted by his letter, signifies a breakthrough in her subconscious defenses, allowing her to confront her deeper desires for love and connection. Mr. Darcy's pride and aloofness can be seen as manifestations of his internal conflict between his social conditioning and his genuine feelings for Elizabeth. His initial proposal, laced with condescension, reflects his struggle to reconcile his attraction to Elizabeth with his ingrained sense of social superiority. Darcy's transformation and willingness to humble himself and earn Elizabeth's love indicate his resolution of this internal conflict. Lydia Bennet's reckless behavior and impulsive elopement with Wickham can be interpreted through Freud's concept of the id, driven by immediate gratification and disregard for consequences. Lydia's actions reflect her subconscious desire for excitement and validation, often in opposition to societal norms and familial expectations. Charlotte Lucas's pragmatic decision to marry Mr. Collins, despite her lack of affection for him, can be viewed as a compromise between her subconscious desires for security and social acceptance. Charlotte's rationalization of her choice reflects her internal struggle to balance personal fulfillment with societal pressures. Lady Catherine de Bourgh's domineering behavior and insistence on controlling others can be seen as expressions of her unconscious need for power and superiority. Her attempts to dictate Darcy's and Elizabeth's lives reveal her underlying fear of losing control and status. In conclusion, Pride and Prejudice, through a psychoanalytic lens, highlights the characters' subconscious desires and conflicts that drive their actions and shape the narrative. Austen's exploration of these psychological dimensions adds depth to the characters and their relationships, revealing the complexities of human behavior and motivations. Question 4. Examine Pride and Prejudice through the lens of new historicism. How does the novel reflect the historical and cultural context of early 19th century England? Answer. Examining Pride and Prejudice through the lens of New Historicism reveals how the novel reflects and critiques the historical and cultural context of early 19th century England, particularly concerning class structure, gender roles, and marriage. The societal emphasis on marriage as a means of securing financial stability and social status is a central theme in the novel, reflecting the historical context where women's economic security depended largely on advantageous marriages. The Bennet family's situation, with no male heir and 5 daughters, underscores the precarious position of women in this period. Mrs. Bennet's obsession with marrying off her daughters highlights the societal pressures and the limited options available to women. The character of Mr. Collins, with his obsequiousness towards Lady Catherine de Bourgh in his position as a clergyman, reflects the intersection of social class and the Church of England's role in maintaining social hierarchies. His sycophantic behavior and emphasis on social propriety reveal the ways in which the clergy were often complicit in upholding the class system. The landed gentry, represented by characters like Mr. Darcy and Lady Catherine, illustrate the entrenched aristocracy's power and influence. Darcy's initial pride and Elizabeth's prejudices against him reflect the tensions between different social classes and the challenges of navigating these boundaries. Lady Catherine's attempts to control Darcy's marriage and maintain social exclusivity highlight the rigid class structures and resistance to social mobility. Elizabeth Bennet's character challenges the traditional gender roles of the time. Her intelligence, independence, and refusal to marry for convenience reflect the growing awareness and advocacy for women's rights and agency. Elizabeth's relationship with Mr. Darcy, based on mutual respect and equality, contrasts with the conventional marriages of the period and suggests a more progressive view of gender relations. The novel also reflects the cultural importance of reputation and social standing. The scandal of Lydia's elopement with Wickham and its potential to ruin the Bennet family's reputation underscores the societal emphasis on virtue and propriety, particularly for women. In conclusion, Pride and Prejudice, through the lens of New Historicism, reflects the historical and cultural context of early 19th century England. Austen's critique of class structures, gender roles, and societal norms reveals the complexities of navigating these constraints and the potential for individual agency and change within this context. Question 5. Analyze Pride and Prejudice through the framework of postcolonial literary theory. How does the novel engage with issues of empire and colonialism, either directly or indirectly? Answer. Analyzing Pride and Prejudice through the framework of postcolonial literary theory involves examining the novel's engagement with issues of empire and colonialism, both directly and indirectly. While Pride and Prejudice primarily focuses on the domestic concerns of the English gentry, it is important to consider the broader context of the British Empire and its influence on the characters and their world. One indirect way the novel engages with issues of empire is through the wealth and status of characters like Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley. The economic foundation of their wealth is tied to the broader context of British colonialism and trade. Mr. Bingley's fortune, for instance, comes from trade. One indirect way the novel engages with issues of empire is through the wealth and status of characters like Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley. The economic foundation of their wealth is tied to the broader context of British colonialism and trade. Mr. Bingley's fortune, for instance, comes from trade, which likely includes colonial enterprises. The source of wealth and its connection to the empire is a backdrop that enables the lifestyle and social status of the gentry. Additionally, the presence of the militia in the novel, stationed in Meryton, can be linked to Britain's military engagements and colonial ambitions. The militia's role in maintaining order and the emphasis on military connections reflect the importance of the military in sustaining the British Empire. The novel's treatment of social hierarchies and class distinctions can also be examined through a postcolonial lens. The rigid class structures and the emphasis on social status reflect the imperial mindset that categorized and ranked people based on their birth and wealth. Characters like Lady Catherine de Bourgh embody this hierarchical worldview, which parallels the colonial ideology of superiority and dominance. Moreover, the absence of direct references to the colonies and colonial subjects in Pride and Prejudice can be seen as a form of colonial silencing, where the impacts of colonialism on British society are rendered invisible. The characters' insular focus on domestic issues and social status masks the realities of the empire that underpin their economic and social privileges. In conclusion, Pride and Prejudice, through the framework of postcolonial literary theory, engages with issues of empire and colonialism indirectly. The novel's portrayal of wealth, social hierarchies, and the military reflects the broader context of British colonialism, while the absence of direct references to the colonies highlights the imperial silencing of colonial impacts on British society.